Okay. We're both biologists, obviously heavily involved in and concerned about the teaching of evolution and the threat to it, which comes from ignorant bigots of a religious persuasion. There are various, I mean, obviously we agree about what the end we want to achieve, but there are differences among biologists of tactics and how to proceed. You're a closer observer of the American scene than I am, obviously. How do you see these tactical differences?
There are the aggressive types, the outspoken types like you and I, who are out there at the forefront trying to push really hard. And then I think there's lots of people who are trying to react to that aggressive approach, and they're trying to smooth things over.
Like Eugenie Scott, for example.
Eugenie's a good example. I mean, she's clearly on the right side of everything, right? And she's on our side. And what she's doing is she's trying to work at local levels. She's trying to talk to people and trying to get people to come over to the side of defending evolution and good science teaching. And sometimes I kind of feel like you and I are the boogeymen that she can use.
Yes, I mean, we're rocking the boat.
Yes. And I think that's a valuable role for somebody to play.
Yeah, that's exactly my feeling as well, yes. I mean, I can see where people like Jeannie are coming from, because what they're doing is they know that there are pastors and preachers who are telling their flock, evolution and God are completely incompatible. Therefore, since you believe in God, you obviously, we can't tolerate evolution. Now, she wants to say, no, you can join us. You can go on believing in God. It's fine. You can go on having your God. There's no incompatibility with evolution at all. Whereas my approach is that I think that's only one skirmish in a larger war. And I mean, I care passionately about the question whether there actually is a supernatural designer in the universe. And that's what really matters to me. So I think probably you feel the same.
And it's also a question of what I want my fellow citizens to do. And I want my fellow citizens to be rational members of society. And too often they're getting hung up on this nonsense. And so I kind of feel like I have to attack it at the level of the nonsensical stuff they're saying and forget about the bits where they're going along with me. A really good example is, I don't know if you read Michael Dowd's book, Thank God for Evolution?
Bits of it.
Bits of it, yes. You know, I read that with a growing sense of horror, actually, because he's clearly on our side. He wants good science teaching, right? But on the other hand, you read his book, he's got sections where he talks about the virtues of speaking in tongues. How are we supposed to react to that?
Exactly.
That's kind of undermining the entire enlightenment goal of getting more rational.
That's going very far, though. I mean, that's not...
that's not Eugenie Scott.
No,
that's Michael Dowd. But
I think Eugenie Scott is more what Steve Gould called NOMA, which is anathema to me. We better expand a bit on that. Non-overlapping magisteria. There's no conflict between religion and science. Science gets the ages of rocks, and religion gets the rock of ages. But more dangerously, I think, Steve was ready to hand over morality to religion and the sort of deep, fundamental questions of existence to religion, and that's just going much too far.
Right. No, I really love Steve Gould's work, and it's one of the things that turned me on to evolutionary biology was Gould and Dawkins, reading those when I was growing up. But yeah, I read Rocks of Ages with great disappointment. It was a horrible book. It didn't ring true to me, and I don't think it rings true to the...
No, I bet it didn't ring true to Steve either. I mean, because, I mean, when you think about it, the territory that he was in fact prepared to see to them, no miracles, no virgin birth, no resurrection. There really is nothing much left of religion. But then he goes on and hands over morality and deep questions.
Why are we here?
Well, we agree about that. Going back to the point about whether we welcome people in and say, the point about the pastors and preachers who have taught their flock that there is an incompatibility between evolution and God, and Jeannie will try to dispel that and say, no, it's fine. You can have both. I'm not sure that a better tactic isn't the exact opposite. I mean, if they've already been told that there's an incompatibility between religion and evolution, well, let's convince them of evolution, and we're there. Because after all, we've got the evidence. I mean, no seriously educated person can doubt that evolution is a fact.
Correct.
And so all we've got to do now, since they've been carefully pre-trained by their preachers to believe there's an incompatibility, is to, any hope there, do you think?
Turn the pastors into servants of science.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
Well, yeah, okay. But, the thing is, I think most people in this country are not predisposed to think that evolution has anything good going for it. They've been lied to.
No, they're not.
Thoroughly.
But I mean, if we could take somebody who's been from the cradle up, has been brainwashed into believing that there's an incompatibility. Now you take that person and give him some tutorials and actually show him the facts. And if you show them the facts, they can't come away not really understanding it if you pay enough attention to it. Now, whereas if they've been pre-trained by somebody like a bishop, who says, oh, there's no incompatibility, evolution is just God's way of doing things, then there won't be a problem. But if they've got it firmly entrenched in their heads that there is an incompatibility, then in a sense we've got an easier task.
Right.
If we want to kill religion, because half our work's been done for us, since all we've got to do is to persuade people of what is actually obvious to anybody who looks sufficiently carefully at the facts, namely that evolution is true.
Yeah, I had a very similar conversation with a conservative Christian minister a while back, where he was complaining to me because the kids in town come to my college and they take the biology courses, and I teach them all this materialist, naturalist, phenomenological, rational stuff, and it's undermining their belief system, and I had to tell them that I do not get into the classroom and tell them that their religion is wrong. I do not do that. I do not say, in the classroom I have a job to do, and it's not to tell them that God doesn't exist. And so what I told him is that what he's doing basically is that they're taking all these kids in Sunday school and they're telling them that it's an article of their faith that the sky is green. And then they come to the university, and I don't tell them that they're wrong. I tell them just to open their eyes and look up.
Yeah.
And that's what's hurting. His concern was his kids would come to college and they're losing faith. But I have to tell him it's not my fault. I mean, it's his fault.
Absolutely, it's his fault. Exactly. Yes. Whereas if he taught them like a Church of England vicar, there wouldn't be any problem because they'd have been predisposed to think that there's no incompatibility.
Yeah, those guys are nearly atheists already, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, yes. Do you ever get students complaining that you're offending their beliefs? I mean, you don't talk about religion, you've just said, but simply by teaching them about evolution, do they sort of fold their arms and kind of look defiant?
Yes. I've actually, because I've got this blog that's rather out there and everybody can see it. My first day of class, I have to go in and tell them that I'm not going to grade them on the basis of their political affiliation or their religious beliefs. Okay, all they have to do is understand the material of the course. But I still get people who get very upset. One of my colleagues told me, they usually don't confront me, but one of my colleagues told me that one of my students had to come to her and talk to her about this and say, she basically said she felt nauseous going into the classroom because I was throwing out all this evolution stuff, and she just couldn't take it.